Hey everyone, it's Lisa and I'm coming to you from our Burbaculous Craft Loft, where my husband and I make cards and paper crafting together. Today we're going to make these cute little calendars. So my husband made this one. Now I've seen a bunch of these online and of different types, but I wanted it to be more sturdy, and a lot of them are open here. The measurements were just a little different. So I told my husband what I wanted, and I said, here, can you math this for me? And he did, which is great. So these, I made several of them. So they fold down flat. There's a nice stand. That helps keep it steady. The top part is glued together, which also makes it a little more steady. And you can bend that a little to get the angle that you want with it. So to stand up. So let's jump in. Okay, our first paper cardstock is 10.5 by 3.5. And I have scored this at 5 1/4, so that it's in half. And then also each end is at 2.5 from the end and 2.5 from the end. Okay, and that's going to be the base of your card. So I realized I didn't have glue nearby. Okay, so then we're going to glue this top piece down once you've scored it. And that provides some stability. So I really like the way that part works. And we're just gonna make sure it's nice and even and hold it. And my hands look gross, but I've been crafting and messing with inks, and so please excuse the inky fingers. Also, always use the guard when you use a mandolin, and wear fun band-aids. So you can see this already taking shape. Now I already scored these, and we're going to score this next part together. I have this cutter and scorer from Stampin' Up. Several people make them. If you don't have something like that, something like this works. This cuts and scores in one. This is just a scorer. Or in our household, we call it a groover. And of course you can just measure and fold as well. So your insert piece, this next piece, this is the part that goes in here and provides, it looks like this. So yours is going to look like a W, okay? And so you're going to, from the long end, we're going to score at 1.5. If you use this kind, just try to remember, always keep one up and down, because I can't tell you how many times I chose the wrong end and cut it instead of scoring it. So lesson learned, 1.5. And now we're going to do just a 1/2 inch from each end. Being careful not to cut our paper. 1/2 inch. Okay, wrong, no. And I do talk to myself out loud when crafting, and that is not a 1/2 inch, was it? Yes, it was. Okay, so now what you have is these 3 pieces that I scored it at in the middle, and then a 1/2 inch from each end. And so what you're going to have is, these are the parts that stick to your card. So you're going to glue these pieces, and then this is the 1/2, and so there's your W. Now I like using tape runners personally. Also, tear-in tape is great. Today I'm just going to use glue because I have it out and my tape runner is empty. So we're just going to put a little glue here. Now, all of us are often pretty, all over the place with the glue. And I sometimes will run my fingers and just make it a little like this, but mostly it's so the glue doesn't squish out the edges and make it all sticky and nasty. I really like these glues from Tombow if I'm doing this kind of thing, because they are, you can let them be like a Post-it note. You can let it dry, and so that it has this sticky removable quality. But I find that if you're worried about glue squishing out, this is great because it wipes off very easily with a glue remover eraser, better than some others. But I do really like this one from the Nuvo glue. So, okay, so just let that sit a little bit. Okay, now the thing is, okay, we're gonna put this down. The point is up. And we don't want it right at the edge. I found that that makes them rock. You want to go slightly above. So you take the center of your page and go slightly above. Okay, just start with the one end and press it down. And let's see, nice thing about liquid glue is you can move it a little. Okay, and then I'm just going to fold this end up and attach it this way. And so you'll notice that it is slightly inside the crease. This helps it stand up. So the two things that give it stability are that it's not right at the edge and your top piece is done. And so really that is it. And so the rest is the fun part. The decorative part, I should say. It's all fun. I think it's all very fun. So for these, I used decorative paper. This is paper from Stampin' Up. This one my husband did, and it's great. We have inherited a lot of paper over the years from people who destashed and cleaned out things, and we're very grateful. We've hit some great yard sales. So this is some cardstock we've had just floating around forever, and we found these little gears, and so he put this one together, which is I think a nice fun look. And then his decorative piece is a little bigger than what we'll talk about. So for this decorative piece is going to be the size of your calendar. Now your calendars can be purchased online. I find the ones that I like the best are from Tailored Expressions, and they come, let's see, I think they're, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes to see, I can't remember the size. I think that the calendars, they're 3 by 2 1/4, so that you can center it nicely on this. And then I just sort of replicate that size more or less on the top. And you can decide if you want it all to the end, then you do you. And that's great. If you just want something decorative, like this would be great with die cuts or flowers or a mailbox or anything that's meaningful to you, cats, dogs, horses, those are the common ones, then you can decide. So like my husband made this one with gears. He made this one too, which I thought was cute. So part of the year it wouldn't work, but it was just something to have a laugh on it. Now the one today I'm going to do a little differently. I found, let's see, look at this on the sale rack at Barnes & Noble. I found this Flow book for paper lovers. It's full of all kinds of stuff. Now I think it's more for like junk journaling kind of deal, but I can use this for the rest of my life possibly. And what I have done is they had these little pieces that look like this. They're just sort of a semicircle thing, and I cut one down to just a smaller shape. Actually I cut it smaller than I had a plan, and I changed my mind. So I could have made this larger, but I didn't, and that's fine too, because I kind of still like the look. And then I had this little pack of stickers, and it just says enjoy today. And I thought that's a good reminder, right? To kind of think of what you want to do. Now I could make another border with this. I don't think I am. Then I'm just going to leave it really pretty simple. And so again, I'm just going to use my liquid glue and glue that down in the center. And really you could pop anything up if you wanted with dimensional tapes, foam tapes. Or one of my favorite ways to make dimension is to, one of my favorite ways to make dimension is to use my scraps and layer it. So I save sentiments and things that the stamping didn't come out right on. That's not quite centered, but I'm going to live with it. I save so if I've stamped on something and it didn't turn out, I save it, because then when I stamp on the next one, I'll use it as a layer, and maybe several layers. Like, imagine that it's all the same size, and then see that gives dimension without using foam tapes and things, and also gives me a chance to not waste things. So I know I said this is a sticker, but it's pretty old and it's long lost its stickerdom. So, and I'm just gonna So I think if I was making this, looking up at this every day, it would be nice to remind myself just to enjoy today for today, right? Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy today because it's the day that you have and you'll never have today again. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now, I have run out of calendars, I realized when I was making this, but like I said, I buy these from Tailored Expressions. You could probably get them on Amazon or other places, and they do not have a sticky back, so I just glued it. So at that point, I would then glue one here. So when I get my next pack in the mail, I'll glue that piece to here, but it's ready to go. The other thing I could do would be I could put a little Post-it note thing here and then just tear it off and be ready to go anytime I wanted, so that you have some options with it. So I hope that was easy enough to follow. I'm going to put a link to my blog that has all of the dimensions on how to make this, and you can really just play around with it. I think the decorative part is endless possibilities. This part I really liked just because of the stability. Now, let's see, you can kind of see, this one pokes in a little because of the way I have it folded. So I'm just gonna fold it back a little. And now it's at an angle, more of an angle, so that it would, let's see, it's hard to show this way, but just tilted it back a little. And that way I have the view, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's cute. That would make me happy today to look at. So I'm Lisa, and I hope you've had fun crafting with me today.